Okay, let's go ahead and get started here. Thank you for being here. It's 1 o'clock on the West Coast, 4 o'clock on the East Coast, and I see that I do not have any JV partners yet on the webinar. So that means that we will just have to talk about things without them. First, right after I finish up today, I'm going to be headed to Las Vegas from California to work with Bill DeWeese, voice-over-training.org, and putting together some various products here. So that's the agenda. And Bill is going to be, there, Avish is coming on here. Let's see when he gets here. Hey, Vish.
Hey, Brad.
Well, what's happening? I'm just telling people here that I'm doing this from California, and then right after this, I drive over to Vegas because Bill DeWeese is coming into town today, and I was going to respond to your email, and so just people know what we're. Oh, by the way, I wanted to tell you that I was able to for our. By the way, have you been brainstorming topics?
Now I've been focusing on the outline for the product and the podcast and video stuff.
Okay, well, let me just tell you what I've done. Well,
Hmm.
obviously, Bill should talk to us for a period of time, and we're going to interview him, right, when he's at my place.
Yeah.
Okay, Bill, Avish, and Fred to do a segment for the product. And then I also was able to get back in touch with Roger Burgraff, who I told you about, who used to many years ago do a program for NSA called the Karen feeding of the speaker's voice. So he's a speech pathologist turned novelist, as it turns out. It's funny because when I went to his site, he now highlights his novel, Deacon's Winter. This is him.
Hmm.
I love the outfit. Look at what he's got on.
Nice.
Yeah. So Roger was a clinical speech pathologist, it says here. Serves as a captain in the U.S. Army Medical Corps while working for the Air Force, blah, 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 et cetera, et cetera. So that's about him. And so he's going to be doing that segment for us. He's agreed to talk to us about how to make sure that you don't screw up your voice as a speaker. So that will be good. But I'm trying to figure out. So you said you're putting together the outline. What is it you're doing exactly?
This is for the low end product. It's going to be kind of a speaker 101 marketing. It's going to be a audio with a guided workbook
Oh,
type
yeah, yeah.
program.
Yep, that's it. Okay, so now with that, what more is left to be done, and what do you need from me?
Nothing at this moment. I think what we talked about last week was that by next Wednesday, I was going to get you the outline so you could kind of review it,
Yep,
see what your thoughts were, what you want to add to it. So.
I remember now. Good. Okay, so then I'll wait to see that in a few days or whatever, whenever that's ready,
Mhm.
and then we'll use that as sort of the front end product because we realize that people are mainly interested in the marketing as the one, and the second one was how to. What was the second one that we wanted to concentrate on?
I don't think we had a second one. I think that was the first one, and then from that we're going to look at the group coaching and
Yep.
the one-on-one coaching,
Yep.
and then
Okay.
you talk about the big book, the kind of everything speaking book.
Yeah. So the encyclopedia. Good. Okay. So now we've got a plan for that, and that's good. Now, when Bill comes into town, what we're going to be doing is creating these sort of spin-off products. Because what we've just decided with Bill is so when Bill is in town, in addition to 2 golf training sessions, which I have paid for us. at 8 o'clock in the morning, 2 days in a row. Yikes.
This won't be boiling hot.
Exactly. We will be recording various versions of various versions of our voiceovers, quote, success for groups, for different groups. And they include salespeople, pastors. We came up with a list here of all the different groups. And what we're going to do is we're going to actually go ahead and record. I'm not sure if we're going to do it sort of just change one section for each group, but actually what we intended to do was to have completely separate recordings, each with specific references to one group or the other, so that all through the program, if we're talking to salespeople, the other one was teachers, I remember now, and fourth was, I don't know, I forget what it was. But we had at least 3 and possibly 4 programs that we were going to record in their entirety using, examples from those niches, so that everything that we talk about throughout the program, so that when somebody gets it, they're going to feel like, wow, this really was just for salespeople. This really was just for pastors, just for teachers, whoever it is. And so that when people come to his site, they'll be able to get not just generic, advice, but specific advice based on their particular field. And that's going to make it pretty cool for the people who buy the product, and make it so that they're going to feel like they're very specifically being attended to and taken care of. So that's the path. And then that also, it makes me think that some of those same groups, if we were coming up with groups of people interested in speaking, I bet it would be similar, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Salespeople,
target the
teachers. Then you probably have corporate execs. Who else would fit into the categories of people that we could target?
A lot of professors.
Yeah, professors. Who else? Anyone else? Probably have pastors there as well. Any other group?
Yeah, I've come across a lot of pastors who are
Any other groups?
performers.
Yeah, performers of various stripes. Yeah, and so what we may want to consider doing is preparing sort of individual ones for these as well, based on how well it works with Bill. Because I keep looking, and every time I look now at his, at his YouTube followers and the numbers he's getting, pretty good 2775 as of right now. People who subscribe. That's quite a few. And again, he's got a combination of that list and his own in-house list. And he sends out, he does this thing called a fast track program. And he does that every month now, maximum 6 people. And that seems to fill up pretty well for him. And again, I think that this has to do with the fact that he's in such a tight niche. And he is one of the guys. So, what else, Avish? What else do we have to discuss here? So we're going to, after we finish up with...
Do you have a time for when you want to record with me?
You know what? I don't as of right now. You gave me a couple different times. Give me those again. So why don't I just pick one?
Friday between say about noon and 3 p.m. my time. I'll be free around, able to do it.
Okay, so Friday from 9 to 12 my time.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think that on Friday we have a we have I think a golf lesson on Friday and then on Saturday at 8. So we come back 9. Why don't we say what about 11 a.m.? Now, did you have another time other than Friday?
Yeah, Saturday and Sunday are kind of flexible. I just need to know in advance because we're going to be recording. Amanda's going to be around, so I got to kind of coordinate with her to have her go do something
Okay.
during that time. So before the evening, I'm pretty flexible. I just need to kind of pick a time.
Let's just go ahead and set this in stone. Send me an email saying we've decided 11 a.m. on Friday. That would be 2 p.m. your time.
Okay.
Does that work?
Yeah, that works well.
And so, what are we going to be discussing?
I have no idea. Just the one that you and Bill were telling me you wanted.
See, just testing it. Yeah. So what we're going to do is we're going to have you ask. I think that obviously then one of the groups we had up here was speakers, obviously. And so I think that we're going to include you in the program voiceovers for speakers. And so what I want you to do is ask yourself and then ask anybody else you know. Maybe put it out to your list and say, hey, I'm going to have a chance to talk to a guy who's making $250,000 a year as a voiceover artist. And he's going to be putting together a program in which he wants my input. What are the questions you have that you want to ask him as a speaker trying to get into the voiceover business?
Okay, we'll do.
And I think that what I'm going to do is we probably have a set, we have sort of a fairly set agenda and set of, an outline of what we're going to cover. But if necessary, if it appears as if we need you further, actually, you know what might be good? How much time do you have, like when you have between 9 and 12 on Friday? Do you have a whole block of time?
That Friday?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have an appointment. I should be home by about noon my time, so 9 your time, and pretty much after that until Amanda gets home around 3:15.
Okay, so
I'm free and quiet.
You know what? Why don't we change this? Because what we'll do is we'll make that product go first. Why don't we make it careful and say 9:30 on Friday?
Okay.
Because I may keep you for a couple of hours.
Okay, that works. So 9:30 is 12:30 my time?
Yes, 12:30 your time.
Okay, so I'll block out 2 hours just in case.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that way
Right.
we can be relatively sure that we get, everything that we can there. Let's see here. I'm trying to read a comment from David here real quick. It says, I may be going overboard with this line of thinking, but I think anyone who needs to persuade wants to be a good speaker. That would include parents, coaches, therapists, etc. Yeah. David, what we're trying to do is identify groups of people who are specifically interested in getting into the speaking profession, and we're trying to categorize them into groups of people that we've seen who are most likely. So what we're trying to do is have a number of groups, but keep it, because we're going to record separate programs for each of these people eventually, just like I'm doing with Bill DeWeese here with these groups here. So more isn't necessarily better. It's certainly not easier. But I think these are probably the big 6 categories of each. Wouldn't you agree? When people interested in speaking that aren't in it already?
I think so, and I mean, I think getting those 6 done, then if we come up with more, that's still easy enough to customize, but
Yep.
I think that's a good start.
Yeah, and I think that what happens is once these products are created, when Bill has them, it's going to be great because somebody contacts him who's on the fence about, buying some of his material, and Bill says, "Oh, by the way, what do you do?" And they say, "Well, I'm a teacher," and says, "Oh, well, we have a program specifically for teachers about how to get into the voiceover business." I think the probability of closing a sale goes up exponentially when you have a product that is geared to specifically to the target group that the person belongs to. So I think that this and Avish, I know that we can help him, sell the fourth category here of speakers, because there'll be a bunch of speakers who will want to make money, as voiceover people.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can, and maybe I will as well, let's solicit as many questions from the peanut gallery of people we know who are speakers who want to ask someone about how to get into the voice business. Because I'll bet if you set up a booth at an NSA convention and said, here is Joe Blow, voiceover expert. He's going to show you, he's going to show you what questions you have of him about getting into the voiceover business as a speaker. I bet that booth would be very, very heavily attended, don't you?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, anything that's showing people how they use what they're already doing and make extra income from it.
Yeah. And I think that all speakers, or most speakers, fancy themselves as, having great voices. And again, Bill says it's not about having a great voice, but I think that would suck them in. So this is what we're going to do, is to target and look at this particular group, and of these different groups, but speakers being one of them, definitely. And I don't know, I'm not really sure exactly which other. I think we had at least four, and those are at least four of the groups that we're going to create this specialized product for. Now, do you have any thoughts on what we should and shouldn't do, or what we should avoid when we get together?
What do you mean, what you and Bill should do?
Yeah, because I'm thinking one of the things I'm going to do is, obviously, what we're going to do probably is, while we're doing each separate program, we're going to probably have a big sheet of paper or a big fat card in front of us that reminds us what group we're talking to at any time, so that we keep making references to either the teachers or the speakers or the salespeople.
Yeah, I mean, it's very. Do you know how long you're anticipating each program being?
Yeah, they're fairly long. They may be like 3 hours.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm wondering if there's segments, like kind of foundational segments that you can reuse, and then customize segments, or if you want to just do the whole 3 hour thing.
Well, that's what I was saying earlier. Is I think that it will be easier, although longer, to just do it over and over again with that group in mind. Because I don't want them to feel like when they buy it that we did that we sort of created some generic material and then sort of on the edges put in their name.
Yeah, I think other than A, remembering which group you're talking to, and B, not referring back to something that you haven't talked about yet.
Right.
Because you did it like the salespeople, and they're like, oh yeah, like we're talking about before, when you haven't actually talked about that yet.
Right. Yep, that would be something we definitely try to avoid, because I think you're right. Cool. So then that's what we're going to be doing. So then you and I, at some point, well, other than Friday doing this thing with me and Bill, sometime within the next week or so, you're going to get me a program or a guide. This is going to be a PDF. How long do you think it's going to be? 2, 3, 4 pages, maybe?
The PDF that I'm putting together?
Yeah.
I'll probably have some blank space. I'm thinking more like probably somewhere in the 10 to 12 page range.
Oh, good. I was hoping, yeah. So it's a 10 to 12 page PDF that we're going to sort of walk them through. And when they're done with this, they will be able to what?
So the promise, I think, is they'll have kind of clarity on their position. They'll have the basics written out in terms of like how they introduce themselves, their networking pitch. And I'm thinking of putting together some kind of like a 30-day or 4-week type plan. Like here's how you find groups to go to, here's where you go, here's what you say. So it's really kind of how you get started. You get your position, figure out how to phrase it, and then take it out to the market.
Okay. Good. Okay, so then We'll have that all done. Okay, well, good. Sounds like we have everything fairly well buttoned up then, what we have to do and what I'm going to be doing with Bill. Um, Other than that, I'm trying to think if there's anything real important that I wanted to talk about that came up for me this week. Let's see here. Oh, well, let me give you the one. So, as you know, my stepdaughter Kayla made the volleyball team as a freshman. And so here's an example of taking sort of real life stuff. So, freshman girls volleyball team. So immediately my mind goes to, okay, well, I'm going to be getting, I already have become fairly actively involved in this stuff now because I was a volleyball player in high school and I'm interested, blah, 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 blah. So my thought was, first thing I went to was domain names. So I reserved a bunch of domain names like girls volleyball success.com. I think I've got girls volleyball expert.com and even girls volleyball guru.com because I'm trying to find a way, and I think that everybody who is on the webinar or anybody who watches this after the fact, what they should do is try and find something you're doing in your life and find a way to turn it into money without a whole lot of effort. And so since I'm getting heavily involved in this, so if I were then trying to come up with some things is, before team tryouts, um, what to expect for tryouts, what to do if you don't make the team, what to do / act, how to act if you do make the team, problems with your coach, politics of the group. I can come up with already a whole bunch of stuff to sort of make this happen. Avoiding tournament or game jitters. So I can come up with a whole lot of stuff that I can put on here that relates to this. I'm also going to I'm going to want to put drills. I'm going to want to do interviews with coaches and interviews with players and interviews with parents. So I'm coming up with a whole bunch of stuff that I can do for something that I'm already involved in. And one of the things that's really important that I said I would get involved in, and then we had a little bit of a hiccup, but is the one thing that all of these schools need desperately is fundraising. And when I went in there to the meeting, they did not have any kind of a guide. So they need a guide to bringing in dollars for the team. So all of these things, what I'm saying is there's, excuse me. And by the way, I don't know if you know this, Avish, but I don't know if you've looked at the Google external keyword tool lately, but it is going away.
It's going away. I know they changed it. I don't know it's going away.
No, it's going away. Their most recent Google external keyword tool, if you go there now, first off, it's down here now. They hide it within the AdWords, but look at this. Look what it says. In the coming months, the external keyword tool will no longer be available. To get keyword ideas, sign into your AdWords account and try Keyword Planner.
Interesting.
Yeah, because they're sick and tired of people using their tool without being an actual, girls volleyball. Let me just put this in here. wanted to. So, girls volleyball, 110,000 global monthly searches. Low competition. So that's good.
Yeah.
So that's why I got, kind of excited on that one. So anyway, that's an example of how to do it. So now what am I going to do there? I have Stanley. Let's see if he's put anything up yet. It probably is. I think I have girls volleyball expert as the main site, and all the others are going to be sort of directing to there. I just wanted to reserve the domain names. So he's just getting this up.
Mm-hmm.
So there you have it. And I think that's pretty much all we have for today.